When I first started the podcast, I guess I was going about a year or so. I had maybe about 500 subscribers.
No, you had 182.
Oh, okay, whoa.
Your great idea is worthless without distribution. The old goal of accumulating the highest number of subscribers and followers, it's officially outdated.
So if somebody wanted to be on social media, what would your advice be on the one thing that you need to do to have a presence?
Social media is changing, and it's changing from...
Well, welcome to the Real Estate Show with Pat Lopez, where we talk everything real estate. Today, my guest is Justin Talbot from Just Blessed Media LLC. Justin, welcome to the show.
Pat. It's a pleasure to be on this show. I'm your number one fan. I've learned so much from you in the past year just by your consistency when you drop episodes. So it's an honor and a privilege to be on this show today.
Oh, thank you. You're too kind. Okay, so what we're going to talk about, and for full disclosure, Justin helps me with this podcast. When I first started the podcast, I guess I was going about a year or so. I had maybe about 500 subscribers.
No. You had 182.
Oh, okay, whoa. 182.
I'm not trying to throw you under the bus. But...
Okay, 182 subscribers, and then you jumped on board and you really helped out because I knew nothing. The only thing that I did that you said I was doing well was the consistency, having 100%. Guests on, talking about relative topics. So that's what we were doing. So a lot of people ask me, what do you do? How do you do it? And I really can't tell them too much because I don't know.
Right.
So I brought the brains behind the outfit here with us. But before we get into that, why don't we talk a little bit about your backstory? You do the digital content, marketing, strategies, all that kind of thing. That's what your business is based on. So you just don't work with podcasters. You work with businesses. You work with a little bit of everybody.
Right.
But you do. I guess your background, from what you told me, a lot of it came from real estate as well. So tell me the backstory.
So it was COVID, July 4th, 2021, and I had this idea about the media because before I started in business, I was the media director of my church. So that's where I learned a lot about live streaming because during COVID, everybody had to figure out a way to take their message online, right? So I just up skills over the years, graphic design, video editing. Then I got into real estate because on July 4th, 21, I had this conversation with top realtor, Lexi Mato. Shout out to her.
Lexi?
I came to her because I know she's successful in business, and I basically wanted some advice. Like, hey, how do you think I can get started? Maybe even can I work with you? Shoot some of your properties. And she looked at me and she said, Justin, I think you would be a great realtor. And she just opened up my mind because I didn't know how easy it was to get a real estate license.
Right.
And then she helped me study. I took the exam and everybody was telling me, man, it's so hard. People fail multiple times. And I just did not receive that because on the first time I passed with flying colors. I was grateful for that. So I joined the brokerage that she was a part of at the time, Remax. And my first mentor at the time, $1 Million Listing Agent Jesse Barnes, shout out to him. He wanted to give me a shot. He said, hey, I got this property. Can you show me your skills? I would love to see if I can incorporate you in my listing strategy.
Right.
So,
and was that
video?
Right.
Correct. That went well, and all the realtors within the office started using me, and it caught fire to the point where I developed a business relationship with the brokerage as an independent contractor, then worked my way up to becoming a part of their leadership team and the media director for all of the companies, the mortgage, the real estate, the title. So that's where I learned about branding, marketing, and strategy.
Right.
Because every business is going to have a different strategy based upon their goals. So that's where I transitioned from videographer to marketing strategist.
Right.
So helping agents with their personal branding. At the time, the title company had joint ventures. So I helped develop an onboarding process, which would provide value to the new partners with logos, business cards. And I did that successfully for about a year. And I had to make a decision what I really wanted to do.
Right.
And that's when I made the decision to, hey, I'm going to go full time and start building Just Bless Media.
Okay. And now with that, let's jump into, and because this is primarily a real estate show, most people watching are involved in real estate,
100%.
in some way or another. What let's just start with basic social media. So if somebody wanted to be on social media, what would your advice be on the one thing that you need to do to have a presence? Not 100 things, just one thing, because we'll be here for hours, talking about all the different things, and it'll confuse too many people as far as that. But for social media, what's that one thing if you do consistently? Then from there you can build off of that.
So social media is changing, and it's changing from followers and subscribers to interest-based content. So being very specific in who you're talking to, right? So for a realtor, if you're trying to attract buyers, sellers, right? Just the simple things, right? Tips, 5 ways you can improve the value of your home, just simple things. But the most important thing is just the consistency. And that's why the Just Bless Media method revolves around picking one platform to start with, which is YouTube. Develop a long form content strategy, which podcast, interviews, because that takes the resistance away from having to speak in front of the camera, right? Because we talked about this the other day. You sit in front of the camera, you mess up 5 times, and you're like, maybe this just isn't for me.
Right.
So my advice to a realtor would be pick your partners, your title company, your mortgage lender, your home inspector. Bring them on, interview them, add value to your clients, potential clients, and become a go-to industry expert in your local market, right? Because people want value and they also want authenticity. A content strategy revolves around this one thing: picking a time and a place where you're going to record.
Right.
So let's just say I'm not ready to put out content every week. But let's just say you shoot content once a month and you do an interview. That interview can be repurposed into about 30 clips. And now you have clips that can go out on all for the whole month.
The shorts or the reels or whatever you want to call it. Right.
So you pick the one platform, which I would suggest YouTube, because YouTube is powerful because Google owns YouTube. People fail on YouTube because these 3 things: the title, the thumbnail, and it's not properly optimized.
Right.
And the first 30 seconds is the most important. So when I started working with you, what were the 3 things I recommended? I said, Pat, we need to start with optimizing your thumbnail strategy. We need to make your titles a little bit more SEO friendly.
Right.
And we need to highlight the value and kind of leave a suspense and contrast so people will watch. Longer retention.
Yeah, without question, because that was the main thing. I would have, hey, welcome to the show. And then, and that was it. There was no thumbnails. It was just the picture of the person who I was interviewing. So yeah, it was really blah. Now, when you see all these, the sexy looking thumbnails, and you have, the titles and all this kind of stuff, which really helps. And even with the reels, the shorts, that we would do a show and you would, give me 3, 4 different of these reels, shorts, whatever you want to call them. And, you're getting thousands of views, or I'm getting 1,000 views just off of those as well. And people's attention span is short. So I try keeping my shows down to 20 minutes in between. If I'm just doing something, just giving a market update, it's probably about 10 minutes or so. If I'm interviewing a guest, it ends up being, around 20 minutes or so, because the attention span, and when you look in the background of it, you'll see how many people watch for 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5,
Right.
there's only like 2 or 3% that watch the whole 20 minutes. Just people just don't have the time. And I know for myself, if I'm looking at a pod, I'm putting it at 150, 175, because I can still understand
Right.
it, but I'm getting, so that 20 minutes is really down to 15, 12 minutes.
Right.
So if I'm doing that, I got to imagine, I'm a somewhat normal person, so other people are doing the same thing, right?
And you have to create a value ladder, right? So if you're on YouTube, and we can also get into content pillars or content buckets, like you, for instance, you have your interviews with realtors. We have the new series which is the luxury listings,
Right.
And then we have your solo pods, which is about interest rates,
Yeah, market updates,
the Federal Reserve. So I would say pick your content buckets on what you want to talk about. You have to pick these topics in a way where you can talk about them for 30 minutes without a script because you just know it.
Right.
Right. So you pick your content pillars, and you pick your time and place when you're going to do your content, and then you repurpose that content. And then now what you have is a media machine that is building trust, authority, and credibility on all platforms simultaneously.
Right. And I am going to drop a little nugget out here for the people. You wrote a book, 5 Ways to Monetize, and we're going to start, once it's 100% done and completed, we're going to put it on the channel for other people, because like I said, a lot of people ask me, hey, how did you go from 182
And we're going to 50, baby.
to right now as we speak, over 42,000. So we're shooting for 50, and then how to start monetizing your channels and that kind of thing. So listen, I like to give back. You like to give back.
100%.
And if we can help others, jump in the game, we're going to sell the book, but it's going to be super reasonable, and just help them just to get over the top and be able to monetize and make a couple dollars on something like you mentioned that you enjoy doing.
So brands are looking for quality, not quantity, when it comes to your audience, right? So monetizing your channel may not come from YouTube right away. If you are specific to your audience, if you have value to give, you find surrounding brands that complement whatever it is you're talking about. So in this case, for your show, right, we're not monetized on YouTube right now, but I proposed a strategy on how you can begin to monetize. The last episode we did with the luxury listing series, I felt proud because you took my advice and you left with a check, and the sponsor was happy to do it. So a couple ways for people to monetize is either finding sponsors that want to get in front of your audience. So realtors, you might say to your home inspector, hey, do you want to sponsor this video, because I'm going to share this video to my buyers. I have 1,000 people in my contact list. And then you just keep increasing the reach through email. So it's a value ladder. So you have your content, and then you're offering more value to go deeper, right? So we started our newsletter, right? And the newsletter has been very successful. It also increased our open rate on the email campaigns, and it's just creating more value for other opportunities, because now not only is that sponsor getting in front of your YouTube audience, they're getting in front of your email audience.
Right. And it was funny because I sent out the newsletter, and then I ran into a agent like 2 hours later, and she ended up saying, oh, I just read your newsletter about the Fed may drop interest rates, another 0.5% by the end of the year, whatever the news article was with it. And it made me feel good, because we take time to look at, some articles, some relevant stories that can help people, to educate their clients, that kind of thing. 100%. And for her to actually just say, oh, I just read your, newsletter. It was good.
And that's that's a part of Just Bless Media when I'm working with, like, I work with a lot of high level entrepreneurs that have teams. I work well with teams because I can train them. I can help create a customized system and find inefficiencies in their workflows. And we can find ways to either automate or create an AI custom to that specific thing, right? Like for your newsletter, I created a custom GPT, which is the Pat Lopez newsletter creator.
Right.
And it follows a strict set of prompts and it spits it out like that. And that's I've been really doubling down on is finding ways of, if I can't hire someone for this specific thing, can I create an AI for it?
Right.
There's so many things we can get into, but on a high level, it's the value ladder. So you're continuously like, so people can't get rid of you because they need you for their news now. They love watching your luxury listings. So then what's next, right? Finding partnerships with brands that you use, or let's just say you're subscribed to a newsletter, having a link for that, because affiliate marketing is a big thing. If you're not monetized on YouTube, you can still talk about whatever that topic is surrounding products that you have an affiliate link for. So for me, I talk a lot about different video editing software, AI software. So I have affiliate links for all of that. The next thing I want to get into is like, there's a shift content to community because everybody wants to be a part of something. Everybody wants to be a part of something bigger than themselves, right? So be on the lookout for the Pat Lopez community because that's another thing where I think we can also monetize because let's say you have a course in that community, get your first 1,000 subscribers. Another course, all the home buyer grants in PA because you were awarded the top. What was the award you recently got?
From PHFA, #1 in the state of Pennsylvania for giving out grants.
My God, see? These are all ways to increase the value. So that way, look, I have a private community you can join, link below. And what do you get access to? You get access to our courses, you get access to our guides, you get special discounted pricing on all of our events because we have what's coming up, the Real Estate Symposium, right? And another thing is tiering that because you have your, I would say, your inner circle, right? Which would be a higher price point, like let's say $79, and then maybe like a general, like $39, right? Because people that watch content on YouTube go to YouTube for something very specific.
You're right, because a lot of these podcasts that you see, they'll run their podcast like Brian Lazine. He runs a podcast, and then he's got, hey, join school, and then he has all these. He drops all this stuff, and the agents will join his school, and they'll have constantly. They'll just every topic under the sun. They have scripts, dialogues. How to handle this, how to handle that, in all the scripting, and just a ton of videos. And then they even get into the marketing part of things, how to market, how to do this, how to do that, how to create a YouTube channel, like all that stuff. So yeah, you see a lot of that.
Your great idea is worthless without distribution.
Right.
That realtor out there, that small business owner out there, that loan officer out there, you have all the information and you are paying a disservice to the world without sharing it. So people focus on subscribers like, oh, I tried YouTube, I got 2 views. It's because they didn't have a strategy.
Right.
You want to get very specific. The old goal of accumulating the highest number of subscribers and followers, it's officially outdated. And we're moving into an era of social media to that interest media that I was talking about.
Right.
And I know another thing about realtors is they have a lot of side hustles. They have a lot of different things going. So maybe your channel that you're going to start isn't going to be for real. YouTube right now is vulnerability is converting getting more views than polished content. So like you'll see these people and they'll have their camera up and their backdrop will be the woods.
Right.
And they'll have 1 million views.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
And I love the studio.
Yeah, what do you think about the new studio?
I love the studio, by the way, but let that stop you.
Right.
Don't let not having this stop you from starting. You can put a green screen behind you and just.
Yeah, it could be anywhere.
But you know, the one thing I really want to say too is think of it as not just creating content, right? Think about it as it's going to be an additional marketing arm to your business.
Right.
But it can create additional sources of revenue for your business if you're consistent.
Right.
Because most YouTubers don't really make it till the 5 year.
Right. And I will say 100%. The consistency, that is without question the hardest thing, because it's hard work, and I do the show once a week, but to make sure I have the guests, and it's interesting enough because I can't have only realtors on the show, because then it just becomes monotonous because we're going to just be talking about the same thing. So that's why I'll have a realtor interview that person. Then I'll have a 1031 exchange or an attorney, or GPAR I had on the show, yesterday that I was talking to, mix it up. Then I mix it up with luxury listings, and then just the content of what's going on. Hey, there's a Federal Reserve meeting. What's Jerome Powell doing? What's the administration doing? What's going on with rates? So you have to do enough mixture so it's just not the same old every day.
And that's the point of having a strategy, which you clearly have a strategy. You have your content pillars and you're consistent. And that's why, even without my help, your channel would eventually grow. But because of the optimization,
right,
now it's reaching more people. Because then too, when I first started working with you, you weren't really getting the clips out, maybe one or two. The guests weren't really sharing them. But now you're providing a value to your guests, because guess what? They're getting invited as a collaborator, and it's showing 100%. Up on their page, right? And it's free marketing I think that the longer people wait for things to be, is the more regret that they're going to have later on.
Just do it. Yeah, make your mistakes. It doesn't matter. Just keep moving. Exactly. And that was one thing. I turn around. I have some guests that I thought were really dynamite that, hey, I'm going to invite them back on the show, because I'm sure most of the audience didn't see the guest from 3 years ago.
Right.
So, hey, why not bring that person back, especially if that person was super dynamic and super interesting, and also, hey, what's changed in those 3 years? So absolutely. So just to wrap this up, consistency is the most important. Not being perfect, being consistent, and then doing the thumbnails, optimizing to get it out there, and just be as interesting as humanly possible, right?
Start with your iPhone. You don't even need a mic, because nowadays the iPhones and the microphones are pretty good. And then in post you can adjust the volume, but it's just about starting. And the one thing I do want to say before I get off of here is I am offering 5 free strategy calls for whether they're brokers, team leaders, anybody that is serious about 2026 expanding their reach. DM me. Just Bless Media on Instagram. I would love to help you. Our signature offering is the attention engine. Right. Expanding imagine if you were just posting on YouTube. That's limited.
Right.
Because your Facebook people might have not even know that you had a podcast, right? But now people are you're in front of everyone. Then we're doing different advertising campaigns. And we're working together with this luxury listing series to offer it will have aired by this time this comes out. Right. So let us know in the comments what you think. And if you're an agent and you have a property $1 million plus, listen, you want to be a part of what we're doing, right, Pat?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Pat, thanks for having me
Yep.
on. That wraps it up. The most important thing is just start.
Okay. Also, be sure to DM if you want the 5. What did you say again? 5?
5 free strategy
Right.
calls.
There you go.
Because I'm only taking on a limited number of new clients because the clients that I work with, I provide a white glove service.
Right.
So I really don't, if you're not serious about it and you don't have a marketing budget, like please don't waste my time.
Right. Absolutely.
Be involved in what we're doing, be a part of the real estate symposium. Become a sponsor if you're a surrounding vendor, if you're a painter, construction worker, anybody that can benefit of getting in front of a room of realtors, because the real estate symposium is a couple months away, but I know we're already starting to bring on sponsors.
Absolutely.
And you guys will be amazed in just being a part of the community, what's going to happen.
Perfect. That's the Real Estate Show with Pat Lopez. Be sure to follow the show on Instagram, Facebook, and of course, YouTube. YouTube, the Real Estate Show with Pat Lopez. That's where this will be airing. Do some likes, really helps the algorithm out. And also leave a comment on some show topics you'd like me to cover in the future. Remember, this show is everything real estate, no limits. Hope you enjoyed the show, and I'll see you next week.